Flames Nation, Noah, it's Printzy here, and we are absolutely fired up right now. I know I am. Are you fired up, Noah?
I'm fired up. We have got 3 games left in the season, and game 1 of the playoffs at the Scotiabank Saddledome will be taking place either Monday or Tuesday. I know from what I think I've heard the last couple of days that game 1 will be on Tuesday, from my understanding at least. But I guess we'll see by the time the weekend hits when the schedule fully comes out.
Yeah, I've heard that too, and I know you'll be going. But the question that I have to you, Noah, is how fired up are you that you are joining a Flames Nation new podcast?
Well, when you're talking about Flames Nation as a brand, you first of all think of the GOAT Pat Steinberg. And then you think of Ryan Pike. You think of Mike Gould. You think of Flash.
Right. Just
incredibly honored, and I'm really excited. Like, I'm pumped.
That's
this is
good.
Going to be really cool.
Yeah, no, this is I'm obviously new to the Flames Nation brand. My name is Mark Prince. This is Noah Adler, and people will know me by my name Printzy, and I got that nickname from Shane O'Brien and Scotty Upshaw, the fellows over at Miss and Curfew, the podcast. That's also another podcast that I am part of, but I've been brought on board to, I guess, to create content for Flames Nation and to kind of add in that area. And the guys at the Nation Network, they kind of reached out and said, hey, if you're interested in doing a podcast that's a little bit different, a little bit unique, go ahead and create one. You just got to find somebody to do that with you. And that's where I reached out to Noah. I think I reached out to you. Would have been the Flames when they were playing the Coyotes when they gave them a beatdown 9-1. I was drinking at the bar and I just fired you a DM. So I wanted to know what you thought of that.
It was in the middle of the second period, right? And
yeah.
I saw the DM and I was like, really, me? Like what's so special about me?
Well, I was planning on doing it earlier, but they just kept scoring, so I couldn't keep up to posting things and putting things out on Flames Nation because they just kept scoring, right? So I put it out there, but yeah, we were just looking for somebody young, somebody fresh. You obviously have a huge knowledge of Flames and the Flames fan base, and you're a massive fan, and that's kind of what we're looking for in our podcast now. Just to give the listeners and our Flames Nation fans a little bit of insight, you're currently going to school, are you, at SAIT?
Yes. I actually have, because we are recording here on Monday, I have tomorrow, which is Tuesday, and then I have Wednesday, which are the final 2 days of my first year at the SAIT Broadcast News program. I took this program with a simple goal, and that's to be in the broadcast news industry and hopefully to do something in that field someday.
Right. And you want to do something. I know you want to do something for the Flames. So this is probably right up your alley right here. Eh?
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
It
is.
It worked out perfectly. So this is, guys that are listening right now, this is just our pilot. We're just trying some stuff out, trying some new stuff out. Part of Flames Nation, you already have Flames Nation Live 1 to 2 times a week with Pat Steinberg. Pat goes live on Facebook, 20-25 minutes, and he answers some listener questions. He gives some insights. It's great to listen to Pat. It's a little bit different than when you hear on Fan 960. So we already have that. Now we've got, you said when you think of Flames Nation, you think of Pat Steinberg. I'm going to go a different approach on that one. When you think of Flames Nation, I automatically think of Ryan Pike is who I think of, just in terms of the writing side. So we've got Ryan Pike and Shane Stevenson currently do Flames Nation Radio right now. So the brand Flames Nation now has 2 shows, and we are the 3rd show to this brand. But Noah and I would like to do something a little different with this show, right? Like Noah and I, we'll break down the games. Like Noah, I know you watch every single game. And even when I met up with you, I had to ask you, like, how the hell do you get to every single game? It seems like I open up Twitter, I open up Instagram, and Noah's at every single game. You're not even a season ticket holder. Like, what's up with that?
All I can tell you, Printzy, is that I know my people within the organization.
There you go. I like that answer, and that's another reason why we wanted you to be part of the team. Noah and I will touch on the games. We're heading into playoffs, so it's hard not to even touch on the games. But if you want the real in-depth breakdown, the analysis, the stats, all that stuff. Pike and Shane, those are your guys. You listen to Flames Nation Radio, they're going to break down the game to a very good extent, where Noah and I, we're probably just going to shoot the shit. Like it's like you would talk about the Flames sitting over at the bar with a couple pints, right? That's what me and you probably do best. So I'm looking forward to doing that with you, Noah.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. That's for sure. And one thing I should mention to folks is that at some point here during round one, if we possibly can, we will do a meetup along 17th Avenue at one of the big establishments like Charlie Five or Jameson's or Kelly's. So we will all keep you in the loop in that regard very soon.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. I just had to wait and see what game Noah was going to first because I didn't want to plan that. So when we find that out, I think you've got your tickets already. So we'll plan something like that. What I did want to mention here too is the Flames Nation. They're part of the Nation Network, and I think if you're from Canada, you know what the Nation Network is. That's Flames Nation, Oilers Nation. You've got Jets Nation, I believe Canucks Army. The addition of Daily Faceoff with Frank Saravelli. You've got Hockey Fights in there. John Scott's got a podcast in there, and it's ever growing. This is a massive platform, and it's great for me to be a part of. And I will, not today, just because this is our pilot, but I will explain my whole story with missing curfew and how I became to be. And, I entered free agency and ended up with the Nation and still with curfew. It's an interesting story, but we'll leave that for another day. When I first came aboard the Nation, I saw what Oilers Nation has accomplished in their time. Now, granted, they've been around for a very long time. They basically started the brand. But these guys have a crew of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys and girls that are all part of Oilers Nation that they just bleed Oilers. And all they do is create content. They create podcasts. They host events. They go to games, which I went to a game with them, which I'll get into, it was absolutely insane to go with these guys. And when I first came aboard Flames Nation, I saw that it was just a little bit quiet. That's all. And it's Flames Nation is doing great things with articles and stuff like that. But we were just a little bit quiet on that front. So that's why we're here. We're here to create that fan experience for you. We want to do meetups. We want to do, Instagram live stuff. We want to chat and interact with the fans. So that's my whole goal with this kind of thing. So no, I hope you're excited. And I know that you have a pretty big Flames following that's gonna jump in and help us when we do some of these events, and guys that I want to be part of our team.
Oh, without a doubt. Like, my platform, I think, is certainly going to help us in that direction. Like, no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's why I identified that with you too. So that's what we want to do, fans. These Oilers Nation guys, they do these road trips. Obviously, COVID had nixed them a little bit, but they just came back from Nashville, and they went down and they had an Oilers watch party at a bar, and then they went to an Oilers, and it just looked like an absolute blast.
Why can't we be them?
I know, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm sitting there watching and I'm like, God, and so what happened is when I first got brought on board the Nation, Oilers Nation had their first trip of the year. And obviously it makes sense for them because it's cost effective and whatnot. They came down to Calgary for that. What was it? 9-5, that absolute beat down that we laid on them there. So they all came down for that. And they invited me along to that, to meet all the guys and to interact with everybody. It was legitimately like 75 Oiler fans to 1 of me. I didn't have anybody to help me. I had no help from the Flames. Like, granted, we have a lot of writers on Flames Nation. Pike's up in the press box. He couldn't help me out. So just being around those guys and seeing the camaraderie that they have is something that Noah and I want to personally build within Flames Nation, so that we can do trips. We can go to Arizona. We can go to Vegas. We can go to Nashville, that kind of stuff. So I keep asking if you're excited, Noah, but this is something really cool that we're going to do together.
I'm over the moon. Like, hey, you finally got the Flames fan that can help you out in that regard to battle against the Oilers, the Canucks Army, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. And put out some great content. So you guys got to follow. I believe your Twitter handle is what? Real Noah Adler 99?
Real Noah Adler 99.
What's with the 99? Are you Wayne?
So the story behind the 99 on my social media accounts was the year I was born.
So you're 99. Okay.
1999.
Okay.
Near the end of the millennium, just as the Y2K scare was happening at that point. So
yeah, I'm just a little bit older than you. We're still in the 90s together, but I'm just a little bit older than you. Yeah. So just topping off that, meeting those Oilers Nation guys. people will probably see online that Flames Nation chirps the Oilers Nation all the time and vice versa. We're programmed to not like each other because they're Oilers Nation and Flames Nation. But part of the
we're a family at the same time.
Exactly. And that's exactly where I was going with this. Part of the motivating factor to try to build Flames Nation up was being around these guys and just seeing how hard they work, how much they dedicate to their craft, how much they put in. All the guys, they were unbelievably nice to me. We had friendly chirping and this and that, but they made sure that I was taken care of all night. So polite. Obviously, we pounded them a little bit in the score, so we had some fun with that, but it was great to be around those guys. Now, in terms of our podcast being a little bit different, we are going to ask, we're going to ask the fans questions. Noah and I are going to bounce stuff back and forth between each other. We like history. We like jerseys. We like dome food, and we like talking about Noah likes Blasty. Of course, everybody knows Noah knows that. We like the warm-up music. We like, putting out scenarios. We like talking about, we're going to do a segment on just specifically Forever a Flame. Like Noah and I were talking this over beers. What is a Forever a Flame? We don't even know what that definition is right now. We were throwing out guys and we're kind of like, is that going to fit into what a Forever a Flame? We don't know. So we're going to throw that out there to the fans and get a definition. And then we're going to talk about some Forever a Flame.
And a few examples of that would be, who are the biggest busts in the history of the franchise? Who are the most lovable Flames of all time, but maybe are not among God statuses here in Calgary as legends.
Exactly. Guys that came in and had a cup of coffee, like what did Freddie Hamilton ever do? That's probably a Forever Flame guy that we could talk about. I got a lot of these ideas from listening to Oilers Nation radio, because they do the four of them that are on there. They bounce around ideas, they throw out scenarios. And one scenario that they threw out, because I will let the fans in on a little secret, when you're following Printzy, I create content for a lot of brands within the nation. So I'm editing podcasts from Oilers Nation, Jays Nation, Bag Milk stuff, all that kind of stuff. So I'm constantly listening to their podcast. Sometimes it gets a little ridiculous when they're slamming the Flames, but we're going to slam them right back. One of the questions that one of the guys, Tyler, he threw out there was, if you could have one wish, I'm going to put this to you, Noah, one wish to change something, to add something, to improve something within the Flames organization. Now, I'm not just talking about the players on the ice. We're talking about the organization from top to bottom, from merchandise to food sales to all that kind of stuff. So I'm putting you on the spot, Noah. What's one thing that you would change within the Flames organization or add?
Well, okay. So you said change, improve, and then add.
What's your wish list, man? What do you want? Okay. One thing.
Okay. One thing. I think it is pretty easy, and that's Blasty full time in the jersey rotation. Like that's a no brainer for me.
I figured, and I think any fans that are fans of Noah will know this. We're gonna save this story for a different podcast, because we're heading into the offseason. We don't know how long this thing's gonna be, so we need some stories. I need to hear, not today, I need to hear the story of who was the first person to get a Blasty jersey in all of Calgary when the reverse retro came out. I believe that was you.
Yeah. So the story about that is, I think it was like mid-October or late October, somewhere around there. Like, I can't remember the exact date.
That's okay.
Ryan Popovich, the director of marketing for CSEC, he messaged me out of nowhere and he said, "Hey, we have something cool coming down the pipe. What's your size?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a 50." And I was like, "Is this in relation to the reverse retro?" And he said, "Yes, but you can't find out what it is right now." And then I saw that there was the teaser of it coming out, and then I got about, I want to say, approximately like a week and a half after its release, it finally came after some like shipping delays, and I was over the moon. I was over the moon when it was Blasty that was coming back. And keep this in mind too, like I had known, I think going back to August, I'd known that Blasty would be the reverse retro last year.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you had some inside track on that kind of stuff. And
I knew a while back.
Oh yeah. And you might have some inside track on what's going on jerseys for next year, but we're not going to talk about that today. So I want to elaborate on your adding Blasty full time. Now, would you want that as a third jersey, like a permanent third jersey?
Yeah, it would be a permanent third.
Okay.
I wouldn't change, a thing with the retros.
Right.
Although my biggest opinion about the Flames jerseys in franchise history.
Mhm.
What is the greatest home and away Flames jersey of all time? And my answer for that would be the 2004s. Like
Oh,
that
yeah,
is
yeah,
no debate. No
yeah,
debate in my opinion.
yeah. Would you like to see something like that again? Like we had those last year. They let them wear that. I would like to see them do what a lot of teams. They obviously haven't been able to do it this much this year, but the previous year when they did the reverse retros, there was a bunch of teams that went with the home away, and then they went with reverse retro, and then they went with another alternate. So they actually had rotated between a bunch of different jerseys. And I know the prime example is the Oilers. They had the orange, the white, and then they had the white orange reverse retro, and then the dark blue. Dallas did white, and then they did a black and the green, all that kind of stuff. I would like to see the Flames do that. I would like to see them rotate through the home and away retros, and then obviously bring Blasty back, and then add something else. What that is, I don't know. I would like to see something else too.
Fingers crossed it's black pestle.
Okay. We'll
Fingers
throw
crossed.
that. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Well, we're going to put that out to the fans too and see what they think.
Yeah.
My wish for the Flames to add, obviously, the number one thing besides Blasty would be obviously the new arena, but we're going to skip over that one because I think that's everybody's wish. You're going to realize how much of a content guy I am with this answer. Is I would like to see the Flames do a little bit more inside the locker room, mic'd up stuff, mic'd up practices, mic'd up in-game stuff. It's very hard to find that stuff. You have a better chance to find that stuff in Stockton than you do here in Calgary. You got teams like Boston Bruins are doing behind the B, and other teams are doing mic'd up sessions. Like the Vancouver Canucks do one every second home game. Like I would love to see the Flames do more of that stuff for the content creators out there to see that kind of stuff. And I think it would just be really cool.
It would take trying to convince Daryl a whole lot. I would say that. But I will say though, a mic'd up practice with Daryl would be pretty entertaining.
If you ever look on YouTube, he's got a bunch of stuff where he did some stuff in LA. So but he's a little bit older now, so you never know. But this is one thing I've noticed that they've never really done ever, unless it's part of an NHL or whatever with Sportsnet package or something like that. It's just something that you don't go on the Flames YouTube and you can't find it. So that's my one wish for there. Again, this is the stuff that Noah and I are going to put out there. We'd like to put it out on social media too, when we do this, so that we can actually get some of your guys' answers too, and then we can talk about them on the podcast. That's just going to give us a better creation of content for our show. Now, the last question here is we're just going to do a pilot today, Noah, and obviously we're going to roll through a bunch of different questions on a full show. How fired up are you right now, just a week away, heading into the playoffs right now? Like what's your vibe right now when we have the playoffs just around the corner?
It's the vibe every year or every time the playoffs come here to this city, you're always fired up. Like no matter what, because you always hope for that 2004 to happen again, and you always have hope for the Red Mile to get revved up again in a deep spring, summer area and that type of thing. But how many times has this team let us down?
Yeah, I agree. And that was what was
thing is cautious optimism, as great of a season as that has been. And, as much as we, are praising, guys like Johnny for having an MVP season, it's not going to mean anything if you don't do anything in the playoffs.
Agreed, 100%. And that's kind of like, I'm hyped up. I'm fired up, to be going down to the Red Mile. And yeah, I would love to do, and we're going to work on this as soon as we can. I would love to do a Flames Nation meetup on the Red Mile. I'm like you, in the back of my head, I'm like, is this just going to end in 6 games again? And we're just going to go into the season heartbroken? Like Pat put an article out today, why it is imperative for the Flames. They have to win at least a round this year.
There's no other alternative to that. Like they have to win because as I keep mentioning, like if you don't at least win a round, or if you don't go past the second round, everything that you've done this season is not going to matter.
It does not matter. Yeah, it absolutely doesn't matter. Yeah, so that was my thing too. So I'm glad we're on the same page with that. So to finish this off, I'm going to ask you, what is your greatest and best, we said you're born in 99, so your best Flames playoff memory to date?
Well, let's see. I became a Flames fan on my 7th birthday.
7?
Like,
why did it take you that long?
Well, so I was originally born in Toronto.
Oh,
I was
okay.
originally born out east in Toronto, and we moved
Yeah.
here in around '02. So this is all I've known. Like in my life, this is all I've known.
Right, right.
But I didn't really start loving hockey until I was around 6 years old, and that was around the '06 playoffs when the Flames got bounced in that very awful Game 7 that we shall not bring up on the show at all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was my first NHL game when I was 7 years old. It was Flames Canucks. The game went into overtime, and the Flames were down by a lot. And keep in mind, it was preseason too, and that's how I fell in love with the team, and haven't looked back ever since. But in saying that, I mean, I would have to say, I guess Game 6 against Vancouver in 15 would have to be the only playoff memory that I'm like, yeah, I mean,
Right.
right.
Were you
And
at the game?
I wasn't, no,
No.
but I was watching it. I was jumping up and down and screaming when Stage scored the goal in Game 6.
Yeah.
But I will also say is that I just think the memories of always, whenever the Flames made the playoffs, and they'd be like, "Hey, wear your Flames jersey to the school for that day."
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that.
Those are the type of memories that I have.
I do. I remember that too, because I remember being able to wear your Flames jersey. And that even, I went to college too in some of the playoff years too, and that even translated into college. Those were all the first round exits or whatnot.
And I'll say too, just to jump in, is that like my best Flames playoff memory hasn't even happened yet.
There you go. I like that.
It hasn't even happened yet.
I like that answer. I do like that answer. No, that's a great answer. Mine, for me, it's just being a little bit older. I actually do remember the 04 run quite well. I was young. I was 13 at the time when the 04 run actually happened. So I do remember it. I got to go to a couple games with my dad. I went to, I think, a Vancouver game and a Detroit game. And that was the first time, like, just actually looking at a crowd and realizing that this is the loudest thing I've ever seen. Like, my ears were popping. This is insane. This is crazy. So I want that back again. 2015 was great because I was also a little bit older. I could have a beer. I actually worked at a restaurant on 17th Avenue.
That's right.
At the time. The restaurant doesn't exist anymore, but it's called Bensonhurst Pizza.
Right.
And it didn't matter that year. It didn't matter if you were a little Mexican hole in the wall or your pizzeria or you were, whatever it was. It filled up. Every single bar filled up. So, which was fantastic. And we had the bar absolutely slam packed. Obviously, Stage and Buries that game winner super late. The bar explodes. I have the video and I'm going to share it at the appropriate time during the playoffs. But my biggest memory from that is obviously when it all ended, everybody wanted to scatter, right? Like, that's the thing to do.
Yeah.
Is go out on the red mile, hit the red mile. So everyone scatters. So it's kind of quiet. And I had never worked a red mile before. So I didn't really know what to expect. And a bunch of our staff had gone back to rest, relax, whatever. And I walked out the front door and I peeked my head out the side and I just saw thousands and thousands of people coming from that train station, just walking down the street. And they're just going in that bar, in that bar, in that bar. It doesn't matter what the bar is. They just want to grab a drink. So it was absolutely nuts. And I want that again.
Could you imagine 04 in the social media era?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I was gonna say there's some pictures you can find out there that are pretty nice to see. But yeah, I don't know if you ever remember maybe you're probably too young, but there was a website called Flames Girls during 04, which is yeah, you remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Flames Girls. But yeah, no, I think that whole thing would be absolutely insane to see what's happening behind the scenes, and I'm hoping that we can replicate that this year. So we're looking forward to it, man. Playoffs start next week.
I'll leave it at this if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
If the Flames and the Oilers met in the second round and the Flames beat the Oilers to go to the Western Conference Final, think about it. The Red Mile would be 10 times as crazier than it was at any point in the 04 run.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guarantee you it would be.
Absolutely. As I was editing one of Pat's Flames Nation lives, and he just said it can happen, but both teams need to do their part. I believe the Oilers probably have an easier route. The teams are not decided, but I think it's fairly obvious who's going to play who. I think the Oilers have an easier route than we do. I'm not saying that ours against the Predators or if it is Dallas is any easier, but I think
not going to be any easy matchup for anyone.
Yeah, so I think the Oilers have a better chance, but we'll get there when we get there. No, it was this was awesome to try out. We're gonna grow this thing. Obviously, we're doing it in the playoffs, so we're praying that the content from the playoff side doesn't just end in 2 weeks. We want to keep going as long as possible, but that's why we're gonna do some different things. I did want to mention a big thank you to the Nation Network and Jay and Tyler and all the guys at the Nation that when I came to this idea, they absolutely loved it. Wanted me to roll with it. Even were kind of poking me, get this out right now. So I'm very thankful to be part of the Nation Network, and I'm thankful that we were able to bring you on board to do some podcasting and create some content online for us. And I can't say this enough. We're fired up over here.
Extremely fired up.
Yeah. So we'll kind of end on this with our podcast. Like I said, it's going to grow. We want to try to do some cool, different, unique things that Oilers Nation is doing and Oilers Nation isn't doing. Noah and I would like to be able to, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. We'll see how it is in the playoffs. We'd like to do, an Instagram live show after the game or a Twitter Spaces show after the game, so fans can interact and whatnot. But obviously, you guys just met us really for the first time, so we got to kind of get our names out there. We are going to be probably more down the line of the playoffs, adding some guests to our show. Whether they are Flames personalities, Flames media, retired guys, just general Flames fans. That's something that I think both you and I really, really want to do. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing that we're going to do is obviously Noah's got a big following and a lot of friends within. I mean, you would know what to call this. I don't even know what to call it. Is Flames Twitter, the Flames universe, the area of Flames where content creators for the Flames and guys that want to do this. They either have a podcast, a blog, or whatever. We'd like to get some of you guys on our show as well too, to kind of do a rotating, a rotating third. This is obviously Noah and I's thing, but we'd like to get another person on here and there to do some stuff. And then obviously down the road when Flames get really quiet, Noah and I are big Stamps fans. That's another one too. I know that this is Flames Nation, but that's what I do in the summertime. I don't know about you, Noah. That's what I do.
Yankees, Stamps, baseball, football.
Yeah.
That's certainly my hockey off-season rituals.
Perfect, man. Well, great to have you on the show, fella. And we're going to do this again next week. So thank you.
Thank you.